High above the world, clouds drift like silver sails, and Mount Olympus rises in shining majesty. From this sacred peak, the gods look down and weave the stories of the cosmos. Among them stands Zeus, Lord of Thunder, ruler of the skies. His voice shakes mountains, his power commands storms. Yet within him lies the quiet burden of responsibility and care. But our tale today is not one of conquest or thunder. It is the story of a bond, gentle yet powerful, between a father and his radiant daughter. Her name is Artemis, the Huntress of the Moon. She walks in forests, guards the young, and carries the calm glow of silver light through the darkest of nights. Their story is not about struggle, but about harmony. It is about trust given by a father, and freedom embraced by a daughter who chose independence and compassion. So, as you listen, imagine the moon shining above your path. Its light has guided travelers and dreamers for centuries, a quiet reminder of Artemis's gift. Welcome, then, to the tale of time's Zeus and Artemis, the bond with the Huntress of the Moon. Asterisk. Close your eyes and imagine a sky filled with stars so bright they seem alive. This is where the story begins. Long before Artemis became the Huntress of the Moon, her mother was Leto, a goddess of quiet strength and beauty. She carried within her two divine children, and the world itself seemed to hold its breath. Leto's journey was not easy. She wandered across the lands, seeking a place to give birth. Seas grew restless, the earth trembled, and doors remained closed. Yet through every trial, Leto remained graceful. She never lost her calm. Her strength came not from thunder or fire, but from patience and inner light. At last, the floating island of Delos rose gently from the sea. Small and humble, it was pure, untouched, and sacred. Here, Artemis came into the world. Her birth was not loud or fiery. It was quiet. A silver glow filled the air, as though the moon itself leaned closer to welcome her into life. Those who witnessed her birth whispered of her eyes. They carried the calm of the night sky and the promise of gentleness to come. From Olympus, Zeus looked down upon his daughter. In Artemis, he saw strength without fury, purity without fragility, and a rare balance beyond thunder. For though Zeus ruled the day with his lightning, Artemis would light the night. She would guide wanderers through darkness with calm and steady radiance. Artemis was born first, and with her first breath she found purpose. With gentle hands, she helped bring her twin brother Apollo into the world. Imagine that moment. A newborn goddess, serene and radiant, already carrying the wisdom of the moon. The island of Delos became sacred forever. Temples would rise there, songs would be sung, and mortals would journey across the seas to honor the light of the Huntress born from silver glow. Zeus, often a figure of might, felt a gentler pride. Not pride of conquest, but wonder. He knew Artemis was unlike any other of his children. He did not see her as a tool of Olympus or a pawn in divine games. He saw her as a daughter destined to walk her own free path. From the start, Zeus granted Artemis a rare gift: freedom. She would not be bound to a throne, but free to roam the forests and mountains. She would guard what was pure, protect what was fragile, and bring peace to the untamed wild. This was her purpose, chosen and embraced. Her birth was more than an origin. It was the beginning of a bond, built not on power or duty, but on trust and respect between father and daughter. In giving her freedom, Zeus honored her spirit. In embracing independence, Artemis revealed the strength of compassion and the courage of solitude. From the silver light of Delos, a harmony was born. Thunder might shake the skies, but the glow of the moon would always follow, calm and eternal. That night marked not only the birth of a goddess, but the birth of a bond written across forests, mountains, and every starry night sky. When Artemis first opened her eyes, her presence was like a calm breeze across the heavens. The gods marveled at her purity, strength, and serenity from the very beginning. But what mattered most was how her father, Zeus, chose to honor her. The bond between them would not be shaped by authority, but by trust. He saw in her something rare. Zeus was a ruler, a god of thunder. He commanded storms and controlled the skies. But when he looked at Artemis, he did not see a subject. He saw a daughter destined for freedom. So, Zeus decided to give her gifts, gifts that were unlike any he had given before. These gifts were not for power, but for freedom, allowing Artemis to grow into who she was meant to become. The first gift was eternal youth. With this blessing, Artemis would remain unchanged through the ages. Her face would forever radiate, untouched by time. Her spirit would remain unburdened by decay. The second gift was freedom itself. Unlike many gods, Artemis was not bound by roles or duties. She could choose her own path, roam where she wished, and live as she desired. The third gift was dominion over the wilderness. Zeus knew Artemis's heart was drawn to nature. He entrusted her with the guardianship of the wild, protecting animals and guiding young creatures. Artemis accepted these gifts with grace. She did not boast, nor ask for more. She understood that these were not treasures to hold, but responsibilities to carry. In her silence, Zeus saw wisdom. In her humility, he saw strength. Father and daughter, standing beneath the sky of Olympus. Zeus with thunder, Artemis with the calm glow of the moon. Between them was a bridge of trust, not chains of expectation. It was rare to see Zeus give freedom so willingly. Perhaps he recognized in her what he himself could never be. Artemis was free from the storms of desire, content in simplicity, yet powerful in her own way. She was a reflection of balance, and Zeus honored that balance with his gifts. From that moment, Artemis walked her own path. The forests were her temples, the rivers her hymns. The moon was her crown, and with each step she carried her father's blessings. These gifts were symbols of respect, not control. They told a story of a father who knew true love was not in command, but in letting go. Zeus allowed Artemis to be herself. In doing so, their bond grew strong, a bond of harmony, not conflict. Artemis's independence was a gift, not rebellion. Her freedom was permission, not defiance. Zeus's love for Artemis was not in keeping her bound, but in giving her the strength to live as she was meant. And in this, their bond would echo through every moonlit night and forest she touched. For while Zeus ruled the thunder, Artemis commanded the quiet strength of freedom. And that, perhaps, was the greatest gift a father could give. Night after night, the sky unfolded like a vast canvas. Stars flickered like whispers of eternity, and the moon rose in silver glow, quiet yet powerful. For Artemis, the moon was not just a light in the heavens. It was her companion, her mirror, the eternal reflection of her spirit. After receiving her father's gifts, Artemis longed for something more. Not a throne nor a crown, but a light that belonged to her soul. She found it in the moon, soft and radiant. Its glow was gentle, never harsh, guiding travelers and comforting the lost in darkness. The moon did not roar like thunder, nor burn like the Sunday. It moved quietly, offering peace to anyone who looked up at night. Artemis asked Zeus for this bond with the moon. He agreed with rare delight, seeing his daughter choose serenity over conquest. In a world dazzled by strength, Artemis chose calm. Her choice revealed the hidden power of silence and balance. From then on, she was forever linked with the silver orb above. Mortals saw the moon as her eternal presence in the sky. The moon waxed and waned, teaching rhythms of life. Artemis embraced its cycles, knowing that balance was nature's truest wisdom. To her, fading was not weakness, but renewal. Light and shadow danced together, reminding mortals that no season lasts forever. Zeus, Lord of Storms, admired her choice. His power came with noise and fire, while hers was stillness and grace. Through Artemis, Zeus saw another kind of strength, power that did not shake the earth, yet endured through every night. Mortals sang songs of Artemis's moon. Farmers sowed under her glow, travelers prayed for guidance, and children found comfort in her light. Her bow was sharp, yet her true gift was presence. She gave peace, not fear, and light, not destruction. For Zeus, his pride deepened. The thunder may frighten, the sun may dazzle, but the moon quietly soothed mortal hearts. As Artemis roamed forests and mountains, the moon followed. Wherever she walked, its silver light walked with her. The heavens seemed to choose her as their companion. In that bond, she found joy not in glory, but in belonging. Her crown was not of gold, but of light. Her throne was not marble, but the vast sky stretched across the night. Every evening, mortals gazed upward and saw her promise, a promise that no matter how dark, light would always return. It was a gift asking for nothing in return, yet giving everything. A beacon of hope, a reminder of cycles, a touch of peace. Artemis carried her radiance not in thunder nor fire, but in the silver glow softening the night. Her bond with the moon was eternal, and through it, her bond with her father deepened into harmony and trust. For Zeus knew she had chosen wisely. She had chosen a light that heals, guides, and endures. And in that choice, the world gained not just a goddess, but a gentle companion in every night sky. In her youth, Artemis carried her bow with eagerness and care. The forest was her sanctuary, where shadows danced with light and leaves whispered like sacred hymns. Deer roamed beside her, hares darted through undergrowth, and birds sang bright songs at dawn. The forest became her classroom, her temple, her stage. Every tree and stream taught her the rhythm of balance and the harmony of nature. For Artemis, the hunt was never about conquest. It was not the thrill of dominance, but the art of understanding. When she drew her bow, it was with respect, never cruelty. Her arrows were symbols of skill and connection, not destruction. From the heavens, Zeus watched with pride and curiosity. He saw not a warrior of chaos, but a guardian who listened. Where he commanded storms with thunder, she commanded silence with grace. One night, beneath the silver moon, Artemis set out for her first true hunt. The forest pulsed with life, every sound alive, every step deliberate. From the shadows appeared a stag, crowned with antlers like branches reaching for stars. It stood tall, unafraid, watching her with calm, steady eyes. Artemis raised her bow, but her heart whispered a different truth. In that instant, she understood that to hunt was not always to strike. Sometimes, the greatest act of strength was restraint. The stag bowed its head, as if acknowledging her, then vanished into mist. Artemis smiled, certain of her path. She was not born to destroy, but to protect. Her bow was a tool of guardianship, not conquest. When she returned to Olympus, Zeus asked what she had found. She answered, "The hunt is not always in the arrow, Father. It is in knowing when not to release it." Zeus, used to victories of might, felt wisdom in her words. Restraint, chosen with purpose, could hold more power than thunder. From then on, her hunts became stories whispered among mortals. They spoke of a goddess who roamed forests as a protector, not a tyrant. Prayers rose not for her arrows, but for her blessing and presence. Animals sensed her spirit. Birds flew near, deer walked beside her, wolves bowed their heads in trust. Nature itself embraced her as kin. Her moonlight spilled across seas and mountains, carrying her promise of balance. Mortals saw her not just as a huntress, but as a symbol of harmony. Strength, she showed, was not in what you take, but in what you guard. Zeus grew prouder of her. He gave her the bow and arrows to hunt. Yet she discovered compassion within strength. Her first hunt left no mark of blood, but shaped her destiny. She became a goddess of the wild, walking beside nature, not above it. Her crown was the moonlight, her throne the night sky. Her legend grew not as a slayer, but as a guardian. Her first hunt was not an end, but a beginning. It became her eternal promise, a promise echoing in forests, shimmering in rivers, glowing in the moon. Wherever shadows stretched, her light would follow. Artemis grew swiftly into her role as the moonlit huntress. She roamed forests, rivers, and mountains, yet her heart longed for something more. She did not desire riches, palaces, or crowns like other Olympians. What she sought was an oath, a promise to define her life. One evening, under the glow of twilight, she approached Zeus on Olympus. He sat upon his throne, storms humming softly around him. Zeus looked into her eyes and saw not ambition, but resolve. "Father," she said, "grant me this. Let me remain forever young." Her voice was steady, filled with certainty, not doubt. Zeus paused, for eternal youth was rare, even among gods. But he understood she did not seek power, only freedom. She wished to walk with her bow and her moon, unbound by time. With a nod, Zeus agreed, and thunder rolled gently above. Light swept over Artemis, sealing her youth forever. But she was not finished. "Grant me also a life free from marriage," she said. "I wish to roam unclaimed, my spirit unbound by ties." Zeus smiled faintly, amused at her courage. Unions often meant power, yet she sought independence instead. "Very well," he replied. "Your freedom shall be eternal." Her heart lifted, but she asked again, "Give me forests as my domain, mountains as my throne. Let me guard the young, guide the lost, and protect the wild. Let every creature know me not through fear, but through care." Zeus listened, and his stern face softened. He saw a goddess who understood her calling with clarity. So he granted her dominion over the wilderness. Her oath continued, shaping the heart of her divinity. She asked for nymphs to accompany her in laughter and song. She asked for swift hounds and the loyalty of the stag. She asked for a bow of silver light, pure and eternal. Each vow was granted, each request bound in promise. By the end, Artemis was no longer just Zeus's child. She was the huntress of the moon, the maiden of the wild. She became the guardian of the young and innocent. Her oath spread as legend across lands and seas. Mortals saw her as the goddess who chose freedom over chains. Children prayed for her protection, melons for strength. Travelers lifted their eyes to her moon for guidance. Zeus felt pride deeper than any thunderstorm could bring. His daughter had chosen not conquest, but compassion. She had asked not to rule above others, but to walk beside them. That night, Artemis stepped into the silver glow of her moon. Her vows were not burdens, but eternal promises. Promises to mortals, to forests, to rivers, to herself. Her voice of care would echo across centuries. And so, Artemis became eternal, not just in youth, not just in freedom, but eternal in the hearts of all who found solace in her light. Artemis was never meant to walk her path alone. Though she loved freedom, she knew the wilderness was alive with voices of wind, leaves, and streams. She asked for companions who could share her vow. From the mountains came the nymphs, spirits of rivers and forests. They were swift, graceful, joyful, with laughter like music. They followed Artemis, not by command, but by love for her mission. Their steps were light as deer upon moss, their voices bright as dawn. Together, they circled her like sisters of the hunt. They sang by moonlit lakes and wove garlands from wildflowers. Their joy filled forests with warmth, reminding mortals of simple beauty. Yet Artemis wished for guardians, not only laughter. To her came the hounds, swift and loyal. With shining eyes and tireless limbs, they bounded across valleys. They chased the wind, following Artemis with fierce devotion. Mortals whispered of a huntress with glowing hounds at night. They saw silver streaks racing under the moon, her pack eternal. But Artemis's bond was deeper still. She looked upon the stag, noble and proud. Its antlers rose like branches of an ancient tree. The stag bowed its head in honor, pledging grace to her. It became her sacred creature, symbol of majesty and freedom. In this harmony, Artemis's spirit found its strength complete. She ruled not by fear, but by love freely given. The nymphs adored her kindness, the hounds her guidance, the stag her respect. Together they roamed valleys where rivers glistened and forests glowed. Where Artemis walked, peace followed like a shadow of light. Creatures of the wild felt her as guardian, not conqueror. Mortals told tales of the radiant huntress under the moon. They spoke of her silver bow shining like a star. Her arrows did not wound, but reminded the world of her watch. Her companions became part of her legend forever. Nymphs laughed like wind, hounds howled with the night, and the stag stood proud. Children prayed to her for safety before entering forests. Maidens saw her as a symbol of freedom and strength. Even kings whispered prayers for blessing, not conquest. Though young, Artemis carried herself with timeless grace. Her companions were joy, but also the heart of her vow. She was not alone. Her bond was her greatest strength. Zeus looked down in wonder at her choices. Other gods sought temples, power, and thrones. Artemis sought harmony and the love of the wild. She had woven a family not from power but devotion. Under the moon, with silver bow and companions beside her, she glowed, and thus her legend deepened, eternal sister to the wilderness. The moon had always been a lantern in the night sky. It guided travelers, lit the forests, and softened the darkness. But under Artemis's touch, the moon became far more. It became her mirror, her crown, her eternal companion. One night, Artemis stood on a mountain peak. The stars glittered above, the air sharp and still. The moon shone bright, casting silver paths on earth. She raised her hand as though greeting an old friend. A gift appeared, a bow of pure silver light. It was not forged by mortal hands or earthly flame. It was born of night whispers and starry breath. The bow glowed in her grasp, weightless and alive. Artemis smiled, for she knew its meaning. It was not a weapon for war or destruction. It was a promise of balance and protection. When she drew its string, no arrow was needed. The bow sang and released threads of silver light. These arrows pierced not flesh, but illusion. They carried truth, clarity, and guidance through the dark. Lost souls could find their path by her glow. Shadows fled when her silver arrows took flight. The hounds circled, sensing the sacred power. The nymphs gathered, hushed in wonder. Even the stag bowed, honoring the bond with the moon. From Olympus, Zeus watched with pride. He saw the bow made her not fierce, but whole. It bound her vow, her companions, her role as guardian. The moon itself became her eternal ally in the skies. From that night, the world knew her by her bow. Mortals told of glowing arrows guiding the lost. Sailors whispered of silver light across stormy seas. Children prayed under the moon, certain she would hear. The bow was not a weapon, but a promise. A promise that night should not be feared. A promise that even in darkness, light remains. A promise that the wild is never cruel under her care. The bow grew beyond her legend alone. It became a sign of hope for wanderers. Its silver glow told them they were never alone. The moon would shine, and Artemis would guard. So she stood under the eternal night sky, silver bow in hand, moon above, companions beside her. The goddess of the hunt became far more. She was keeper of light within darkness, guardian of all who dreamed beneath the stars. Artemis never walked alone, though she was known for her independence. She chose companions who shared her love for freedom and the wild. These were her maidens, her nymphs, her eternal sisters of the hunt. They came from forests, rivers, and mountains, drawn by her light. Some were daughters of minor gods, some born of the earth itself. Others had once been mortal girls longing for life beyond the ordinary. Together, they followed Artemis into the silence of the wild. Each maiden swore an oath to remain free and unbound by mortal marriage. They lived with purity, loyalty, and courage as their guiding vows. At dawn, they rose with Artemis, moving through misty forests. Their laughter echoed in valleys as they practiced with their bows. Hounds raced ahead, and the air thrummed with wings and rushing waters. Unlike Olympus, her circle had no crowns or hierarchies to divide them. All were equal, bound not by rank but by devotion to Artemis. Even the smallest nymph had a voice, and the timid found courage. Zeus watched with quiet pride at the freedom he had granted her. He saw how she built not power, but trust and companionship. Her maidens became symbols of what true freedom could mean. Callisto was among the most beloved, swift and fearless in the hunt. Her laughter rang like music, and her bond with Artemis was deep. But challenges always came, for the world was not always kind. Temptation and jealousy often tested the vows her maidens had sworn, yet Artemis remained firm, her bow a reminder of unity and light. She comforted her sisters when doubts or shadows reached their hearts. To mortals, her circle seemed like a dream beneath moonlit skies. Stories spread of maidens dancing, their hair silver in the glow. They became symbols of beauty, freedom, and divine harmony. Their lives carried a message beyond myth and mortal tales. They showed that loyalty to values could forge unbreakable bonds. They proved that shared freedom created strength greater than any throne. The bond between Artemis and her maidens mirrored her trust with Zeus. It was built not on control, but on respect and care. Through this trust, Artemis built a family beneath the open sky. At night, she led her companions in song beneath the rising moon. Their voices wove together, threads of light drifting across forests. The song praised the earth, the animals, and the balance of all things. Legends say if you wander the woods at night, you may hear it, a soft melody, like leaves whispering or water flowing through stones. It is a reminder that freedom and fellowship can walk side by side, and that the moonlight still guards the wild, with Artemis watching. The bond between Zeus and Artemis was tested, as all bonds are, even among gods. Trust was a fragile flame that could flicker in the winds of doubt. Artemis held a freedom unlike any child of Zeus, and it drew attention. Some whispered, no maiden should remain unbound by love or marriage. Others envied her power, her closeness to Zeus, and her loyal companions. Yet Artemis stood steady, her spirit unwavering beneath the silver moon. One trial came when proud hunters claimed they could rival her skill. They boasted their arrows were straighter, their steps swifter in the wild. Artemis answered not with anger, but with calm strength and grace. She invited them to the forest beneath the glow of her moonlight. There they saw arrows that flew like music, striking with harmony. Every step she took flowed with the rhythm of the forest itself. The hunters lowered their bows, humbled by awe rather than defeat. They realized her power was not skill alone, but unity with nature. Among the gods, too, jealousy often stirred and tested her freedom. Apollo, her twin, adored her, yet wondered at her bond with Zeus. He asked if she would obey their father in all things. Would her loyalty endure, even if it meant losing her freedom? Artemis listened, her gaze calm as the sea under moonlight. She replied that obedience was not the bond she shared with Zeus. Respect and trust were the roots of their connection, not chains. Zeus had given her freedom, not as a cage, but as a gift. Her words silenced Apollo, leaving him thoughtful and changed. In time, he saw their father's gift was no burden, but a blessing. Another trial came not from others, but from her own heart. She questioned if her vow of freedom was gift or prison. Alone beneath the stars, she searched for answers in silence. She felt the earth breathe beneath her, the rivers pulse, owls call. Her freedom was not emptiness, it was fullness. It was choice. It was space to love without chains, to guide without command. Her bond with Zeus was not power, but trust that let her thrive. With new clarity, she returned to her sisters, her heart alight. She sang beneath the moon, her voice carrying through the trees. Her vow was renewed, not by force, but by her own will. The hunters had learned respect. Apollo had seen the truth. Artemis herself had found strength in her freedom once more. The bond with Zeus shone brighter, tested yet unbroken. And her story became more than myth. It became a timeless lesson that freedom is precious. Trust must be nurtured, and respect endures. Even among gods, true bonds are built not on power, but on trust. Artemis had faced doubt, envy, and pride. Each trial left her stronger. Her bond with Zeus, like fire that storms could not extinguish. But tonight was different. A night of oath, beneath the silver moon. By the still lake, her maidens gathered close. The moon shone high, its reflection dancing like a second sky upon the water. Artemis stood tall, bow on her shoulder, hounds watching at her side. The forest held its breath, waiting. Her eyes moved across her companions, her sisters in freedom. She spoke with calm power, words that would shape their path forever. She reminded them of their vow, to live unbound by mortal chains, to walk in harmony with the wild, to carry moonlight as their guide. But she also spoke of trust, the trust Zeus gave her, and the trust she now placed in them, her chosen sisters. Freedom, she said, is not without bonds, but choosing which bonds we honor. Her voice floated like music, carried deep into the woods. The maidens listened, faces glowing in silver light. One by one, they stepped forward, touching the water. Ripples spread across the lake, carrying their promises away. Each vow rose like prayer, weaving together in a chorus of devotion. From Olympus, Zeus watched with pride. He had given her freedom, and she had turned it into sanctuary. Not chains, not rules, only choice. They were united not by fear, but by trust and love. The forest stirred in blessing. Owls called, leaves whispered, stars burned brighter above. The oath had awakened the night itself. Artemis raised her bow high toward the moon. "Let this light remind us," she said. "We walk free, together, unbroken." Her words shone brighter than fire. The maidens echoed her vow, their voices rising into the night. Their song carried through valleys, rivers, and mortal dreams. In that moment, her bond with Zeus deepened. He saw not conquest, but wisdom in her trust. The moon's glow wrapped her in endless light. This oath was not just for Artemis and her maidens. It was a promise for the world. Freedom, when honored, becomes a light for all. Mortals believed that each full moon renewed the vow. The silver glow upon rivers and lakes was their sacred touch. Courage blossomed in mortal hearts. They too could choose bonds wisely, with respect and trust. Thus the oath of Artemis became more than myth. It became a guide for gods and for humankind. The seasons shifted, and mortals prepared their festivals. In valleys and mountains, they gathered under the moon to honor Artemis. These nights were more than rituals. They were bridges to the divine. Fires blazed in circles, casting shadows over fields and stone walls. Villagers brought fruits, honey, and spring water, gifts of purity. They offered what was gentle, reflecting the spirit of Artemis. Young maidens in white danced with voices rising in hymns. They sang of the silver bow, the wild hunt, and the free goddess. Children played, chasing imagined deer across the meadows. High in the hills, a sacred grove waited in silence. Priestesses drew water from a hidden spring of silver light. They poured it at the roots of oaks, renewing life and balance. The night grew still as all awaited the rise of the moon. It climbed the horizon like a crown, glowing with power. The priestesses lifted their arms, calling upon Artemis. They asked for protection, freedom, and harmony with nature. A wind stirred, fires flickered, branches whispered softly. Deer emerged from the forest, calm and unafraid. The people felt her presence, walking unseen among them. From Olympus, Zeus watched, his pride quiet and deep. He saw freedom turned into devotion, trust, and love. Her rule was gentle, her strength subtle, yet endless. Unlike thunder or war, she led with harmony. Her presence touched every heart, every song beneath the moon. The river became the final stage of the festival. People carried torches and placed offerings on the water. Rafts with flowers and lanterns drifted downstream like moons. Children whispered wishes into the current silver flow. Mothers prayed. Hunters promised balance. Wanderers sought guidance. The river glowed with flame, starlight, and human hope. At last, the songs faded and fires sank low. The people walked home, wrapped in calm and protection. The moon lingered, shining silver, a symbol of her bond. Zeus looked on, knowing Artemis ruled through trust. Together, they balanced thunder and moonlight, power and grace. The festival lived on as story and tradition. It whispered that freedom and devotion outshine any crown. The bond between Zeus and Artemis grew with each passing season. The world itself seemed to glow under their harmony. For Artemis, the hunt was never about conquest or power. It was communion, a rhythm as old as the earth itself. In Arcadia's forests, mortals whispered of her presence. Hunters felt her guiding hand when they drew their bows. Shepherds said their flocks calmed under her moonlight. Children believed the woods opened paths just for them. These were not miracles of thunder or lightning. They were gentle threads of care, woven into the world. Zeus saw this and pondered her influence. Not all mortals could hear her voice in the trees. Not all could see her shadow in the wild. He wished to give her a gift that would last. One night, he summoned her to Olympus. She arrived with bow gleaming and hounds at her side. Moonlight followed her like a cloak of silver. Zeus greeted her not as king, but as father. "Artemis," he said, "your hunt teaches balance, yet mortals forget. They take without thought. I will give you a gift, a sign for all." He raised his hand, and stars began to gather. They formed the image of a great stag. Its antlers stretched across the night sky. "Let this be your constellation," Zeus declared. "When mortals see it, they will remember respect." Artemis gazed upward, her heart swelling with joy. "It is beautiful," she whispered softly to him. "But mortals must feel it here, in their hearts." Zeus nodded, his voice gentle with wisdom. "Then give them more than a sign," he said. "Bless them, so they carry your presence within." Artemis returned to the forests with new purpose. She walked valleys, rivers, and mountain paths. Her invisible light touched the land in silence. Animals thrived, rivers sparkled, forests breathed in peace. Mortals who entered felt hushed and reverent. Their steps softened as if she walked beside them. Stories spread of these sacred encounters. Reckless hunters returned with gentler ways. They spared the young, took only what was needed. They honored each life touched in the hunt. Families believed Moonlight carried her protection. Poets sang of her as the breath of night, a guide who never claimed, but always gave. Zeus watched and felt deep pride within him. His constellation shone above as a reminder. Her blessing lived below as a gentle truth. Together, they created a perfect balance. The sign in the sky, the whisper in the heart. The hunt was transformed into sacred harmony, not pursuit, but respect. Not conquest, but balance. Mortals learned that life was bound to life. The moon and stars bore silent witness, and the gift of Artemis lived on forever. The night sky shimmered, restless stars above, as if they sensed a storm approaching. In Olympus, laughter echoed faintly, but beneath it lingered a quiet unease. Zeus sat upon his throne, gaze steady, yet his thoughts heavy with mortal unrest. Wars flared in distant lands, rivalries deepened, and songs once pure now stirred strife. Apollo stood nearby, golden lyre in hand, his radiant face shadowed with worry. "Father," he said softly, "my gift of melody strays. It no longer binds, it divides." Zeus narrowed his eyes, sensing the hidden hand of one who thrived on chaos. From the depths of night came mocking laughter, the voice of Eris, goddess of discord. She had watched harmony bloom, then crept into gatherings, whispering envy and doubt. Her words twisted music into contests, joy into battles, unity into rivalry. Apollo's heart ached, for he felt the shift like a discordant note in song. "Father," he pleaded, "if this continues, my gift will tear the world apart." Zeus spoke, voice low and thunderous. "Then face her, Apollo. Harmony must endure." Artemis stepped into the silver light, her calm presence steady and fierce. "Brother," she said, "discord seeks to unravel, but together we are stronger." Still, doubt gnawed at Apollo. Could music truly withstand the pull of chaos? Eris appeared in dark mist, smiling slyly, her voice sharp as a blade. "Golden One," she said, "mortals envy. Rivalry is truth. Why not embrace it?" Apollo gripped his lyre, steady though his heart raced. "Music is not yours to corrupt." Eris laughed, cruel and cutting. "All gifts can be twisted. That is balance." Apollo shook his head firmly. "Balance lies in unity, not destruction." Her eyes gleamed with challenge. "Then prove it. Let harmony battle discord." Apollo raised his lyre, fingers brushing strings, and golden melody filled the air. Eris answered not with song but whispers, poison threads that twisted his tune. Mortals quarreled, their voices clashing, yet others held to the melody with hope. Artemis released a silver arrow, its note piercing Eris's shadows with clarity. Apollo's song swelled brighter, warmer, pressing against the hiss of discord. Mortals were given choice: yield to envy, or rise together in unity. Zeus watched silently, knowing such battles could never truly be ended. For where harmony exists, discord will follow, seeking to fracture its light. Yet in Apollo's song, resilience shone the power to endure, not to break. Eris retreated, laughter fading, but her shadow lingered close behind. Apollo knew the truth. Harmony must walk with discord, ever tested, never silenced. The gods watched, the world trembling between song and silence, choice and shadow. And in mortal hearts, the battle continued, one fragile, hopeful note at a time. The moon hung full and silver, as though Artemis had loosed her bow and set her light free across the world. The night pulsed with tension, a fragile balance trembling on the edge of choice. In the sacred groves, mortals gathered with hope, with fear, their songs already broken by discord. Some clung to Apollo's harmony, while others leaned toward Eris's whispers of envy. The forest became a stage, and even the heavens leaned closer to watch. Artemis stepped into the clearing, silver crown reflecting her moon's glow. Her presence was serene but firm, carrying the weight of countless stars. She did not raise her voice, for her silence was command enough. Apollo arrived, golden lyre in hand, eyes bright with both dawn and doubt. He looked to his sister, and her quiet nod gave him strength. The air shivered as Eris emerged from mist, her smile curved like a blade. "So," she hissed, "children of Zeus unite, but envy is truth, why deny it?" Apollo lifted his lyre, but Artemis answered first, her voice calm and steady. "You twist unity into division, Eris. That is not truth, it is hunger." Eris laughed, her voice spreading like cracks across glass. "And yet, mortals, listen," she said. "They drink envy like wine." Zeus appeared then, distant thunder marking his arrival, eyes sharp and watchful. He did not command, he simply stood as judge of the trial. The trial began with music. Apollo strummed his lyre, bright notes filling the air. Each string sang of unity, of hearts finding strength when bound together. Eris answered with whispers, dark threads creeping like smoke. "He plays for pride," she said. "Why sing for his worship?" Some mortals believed her and turned away from Apollo's song. Artemis stepped forward, drawing her bow without arrows. From its taut string came a silver note, clear and true. Her voice followed, calm and sure. "You are not bound to envy." Mortals wavered, torn between harmony's warmth and discord's temptation. For hours, the struggle stretched music against whispers, light against shadow. Apollo's melody did not falter. Artemis's presence held steady. At last, one mortal lifted their voice to join the song. Then another followed, and another, until harmony swelled stronger. Eris's smile faltered, her sharp voice hissing with frustration. "You may hold me off today, but envy always returns," she warned. The clearing fell silent as her shadow slipped away. Zeus's voice rumbled like thunder. "Balance will always demand guardians." Artemis lowered her bowstring. Apollo stilled his lyre. Brother and sister stood side by side, sunlight and moonlight mingling. The mortals carried the memory, their hearts steadied by harmony's endurance. The moon shone brighter, as if Artemis whispered across the sky, "The trial is eternal, but so too is our bond." The night after the trial was calm. The forest breathed again, no longer heavy with whispers of discord. Leaves rustled in the breeze, and the stars gleamed proudly above. The moon hung high, silver and full, casting its serene glow. Artemis walked silently through her groves. Her steps were as soft as the wind brushing the trees. She carried the memory of the trial, and the weight of its meaning. Eris had been driven away, but Artemis knew she would return. That was the nature of discord, endless, restless, inevitable. Yet balance had been preserved, and that gave her strength. Elsewhere, Apollo sat with his golden lyre on his knees. His fingers traced the strings, not to play, but to feel their promise. He had feared his gift was broken, beyond repair. But now he understood harmony was not fragile. It endured storms. Artemis approached and sat beside him in silence. The quiet between them was full, heavy with trust and bond. Brother and sister, they had faced discord and endured together. Apollo broke the silence first. "Music alone is not enough," he said softly. It can inspire, but it can also falter, even be twisted. Artemis's voice was steady, touched with wisdom, and yet it endured, not because of you alone. It endured because mortals chose to rise. Harmony is not yours to keep. It belongs to all. Apollo turned, startled by her words. He had always seen his gift as divine, granted by Zeus. But Artemis revealed a deeper truth. Harmony was also mortal, chosen again and again. Zeus appeared, his presence fast yet gentle. No thunderous wrath, no blinding light, only calm strength. His gaze rested proudly on his children. "You have done well," his voice rumbled. "But remember, balance is eternal. Discord will return as night follows day. What matters is not her presence, but your strength." Artemis bowed her head in silence. Apollo nodded, still gazing at his lyre. Zeus lifted his hand, and the stars shimmered brighter. A gift descended, woven of silver moonlight and golden Sunday. He placed it in their hands, warm and alive. "This is not a weapon, but a reminder," Zeus said. "A bond of moonlight and music, silver and gold. Together you carry the hope of gods and mortals." The gift pulsed with warmth, not to destroy, but to guide. Mortals in the clearing saw the glow and felt its call. They remembered the trial, the choice, the unity. Eris would return, yes, but they no longer feared her, for within them was a note of Apollo's song and a glimmer of Artemis's eternal light. As dawn neared, Apollo strummed his lyre. Artemis raised her bow, silver in the fading night. The first rays of sun touched the last silver of the moon. Day and night stood together, side by side. It was a promise written across the heavens. Discord would come again, but unity would endure. Under Zeus's gaze, their bond became legend. A bond of light and song, of sun and moon, of sister and brother, of harmony against discord. A bond mortals could carry too. Every time they chose unity over division, every time they chose harmony over discord,